Morning, honorable members of the committee. I'm Changanongoi, Acting Director, Community Development Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members of the committee. My name is Angela Kawandami. I'm Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services.
Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, honorable members of the Planning and Budgeting Committee. My name is Ajore Patrick. I'm the Director Planning in the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, esteemed member of the committee. My name is Maurice Mono. I'm Acting Director, Social Affairs.
Thank you. Honorable members? Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm Jeff Gabwa, MP for Kaflafta constituents, the land that flows with milk and honey. You're welcome.
Good morning, PS and your team. I'm Frank Simushi, MP for Skongo constituency.
Good morning, PS and your team. My name is Kono Simunji, a member of Parliament for the Kwale constituency in Western Province.
Good morning, PS and your team. My name is David Mabumba, MP for Mwense.
Thank you. Honorable members participating virtually. Introductions.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, PS and your team there. My name's Anthony Mumba, and I'm the Member of Parliament for Kantashi constituency. And Honorable Chairperson, I must indicate that I'm a very, very concerned Member of Parliament over the activities of community development. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mutike, introductions.
Good day, Chair. Good day to the PS and your entourage. I'm Engineer Oliver Mutike, Member of Parliament for the good people of Mongo Central, the home of the Komboka ceremony in Barrosland. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And PS, the other members we see here, our supporting staff, also the clerk. My name is Fred Jatila. I'm a Member of Parliament for Momba constituency in Monze, also the chairperson for this committee. Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia PS gives you immunity when appearing before a committee of parliament such as this one, meaning that whilst we are here with you, whatever you say and that which you say cannot be used against you in any court of law. Take advantage of that provision. However, the same provision makes against you in an event that you were to deliberate mislead the committee. And also just to indicate that we are live both on Parliament, radio and TV. So the people who give us that mandate or this mandate out there following the proceedings. PS, we have received your submission. So what we'll do is we'll give you, if you need all of it, about 20 minutes to take us through your submission. And thereafter I'll give you the members of this committee time to ask questions. In fact, there will be questions. As you can hear already, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kantanchi says he's a concerned member. So we need maybe expecting some questions from his end, so that his concerns maybe can be addressed. Okay, PS, we can start with your presentation.
As part of its program of work, the Planning and Budgeting Committee requested a memorandum addressing various issues. In this regard, I hereby submit responses to the following. 1. The proportion of the 2025 budget that was released and aggregates expenditure against the budget allocation in the first quarter and how this compares with the first quarter budget of 2024. Then there's a table, comparison of 2024 quarter 1 versus 2025 quarter 1. It shows 2024 total authorized was 10.9 billion for the year. First quarter funding release was 2.058 billion. Proportion of total budget funding released in the first quarter was 18.9%. First quarter actual expenditure was 543.2 million. Proportion of total budget expenditure was 4.9%. For 2025, the total authorized budget is 9.8 billion. The first quarter funding released was 2.694 billion. Proportion of total budget funding released is 27%. First quarter actual expenditure is 2.648 billion. Proportion of total budget expenditure is 26.7%. Key insights from the comparison. 1. Increase in funding release. 2025 saw a higher proportion of the budget released in quarter 1, 27% against 18.9% in 2024. This indicates better liquidity and a more timely release of funds for the fiscal year 2025. 2. Substantial increase in expenditure. Actual expenditure in quarter 1 2025 was much higher than in 2024, reflecting increased spending efficiency. The 2025 expenditure against the budget at 26.7% was much closer to the total funding released than in 2024, where expenditure was only 4.9%. 3. Improved utilization in 2025. 2025 demonstrates a better match between funding release and actual expenditure. In contrast, 2024 had lower expenditures. The summary: 2025 shows a significant improvement in both funding release and expenditure utilization compared to 2024. However, the improved expenditure was a result of outstanding payments from quarter 4 of 2024 that were made in the first quarter of 2025. Therefore, the fiscal year 2025 appears to be more efficient in the utilization of release funds in the first quarter than the year 2024. 2. The underlying factors for the observed variance in the budget performance can be attributed to A. Settlement of outstanding bills from 2024 in the 2025 first quarter. B. Late release of funds in 2024 compared to 2025. 3. In terms of challenges faced in implementing the budget in the first quarter of 2025, the Ministry submits as follows. A. Budget implementation was slowed due to a delay in disbursing funds from the Ministry of Finance. B. During the reporting quarter, actual releases from the Treasury fell short of the budgeted allocations, resulting in a budget under-release. This impacted the full implementation of planned activities. And C. There is usually weak monitoring and evaluation in the first quarter of the year due to low activity levels. 4. In terms of projected fiscal risks in the remaining quarters of 2025, the following reasons were considered. A. Government revenues may fall below projections due to low economic performance or external shocks, that is, falling commodity prices. B. Debt repayments may consume a large portion of the national budget, resulting in budget under-release. C. Currency fluctuations increase the cost of imported goods and externally funded projects. D. Emergency may force reallocations and disrupt planned expenditures. E. External funding may be delayed, reduced, or withdrawn due to geopolitical changes. F. An increase in public service salaries or expansion of the civil service could strain the budget. 5. Recommendations on the way forward include: A. Align funding closer to authorized budgets to improve service delivery. B. Consider progressive disbursement models to match capacity improvements. This will entail releasing funds gradually over time based on the achievement of specific milestones, results, or stages of program implementation. This will ensure accountability, insensitize performance, and reduce the risk of fund mismanagement. C, ensure strong monitoring and evaluation in 2025 to maintain the positive trend. D, ring-fence funds for social protection-related activities. E, develop a financing strategy for social protection activities. F, engage insurance-based solutions to protect and enhance the effectiveness of international development assistance. G, provide agriculture insurance to protect farmers against losses due to natural disasters such as drought, floods, pests, and diseases, as well as market risks like price volatility. Then we were further required to provide a summary of the budget performance for the first quarter of 2025, which is presented here in absolute terms, with by economic programs classification for our ministry in line with the format provided below. So the first program is the Food Security Pack. The budgetary allocation for this is 1.2 billion. The release so far in the first quarter was 419 million. The expenditure was 389 million. This was for this is intended for procurement of agriculture inputs for 2025 to 2026 farming season. We are targeting 244,000 vulnerable but viable farmers. The implementation of the Food Security Pack for 2025 has not commenced yet. We should actually be starting the wetlands implementation in the coming week. However, there has been expenditure. We use funds that were received in 2025 to settle the outstanding amounts that we owe to suppliers for the rain-fed in 2024. Then on the community self-help initiatives, budgetary allocation is 800,000. So far, we have not had any release, and there's been no expenditure from this. But we have actually completed one housing unit, and this has been handed over by the community to Ministry of Health. The community initiatives have been supported by the Samuel Ndong program from South Korea. Under community skills development, the budget is 10.3 million. The releases thus far is for 2.5 million. Expenditure is only 747,000. This is for the students who are enrolled in skills centers. And of this, so far, out of the target of 818 students, we've managed to enroll 710, which is 86.8% performance. Most skills, this is due to that most skills centers receive the funds late. Livelihood and Empowerment Support Scheme. The budget for this is 212 million. What has been released that far is 4.5 million, and the expenditure is 4.5 million. These are for women who receive productivity grants under the Supporting Women's Livelihood. Our target was for 44,738 women, and so far 44,291 have received their productivity grants. This is 96%. These are funds that we use to complete the payment of productivity grants under the Jewel project, Jewel 1. Under NGO regulations, the budget is 783,000, and what's budget release has been 783,000. Expenditure has been 549,000. For this is just on registration of NGOs. And we can say that this is on target, as we are all NGOs in this period were registered within 14 days. Under NGO standards, and the budget is 601,000. There have been no funds received yet. NGO coordination budget is 495,000, and there's been no funds received yet. Under disability affairs, the budget is 34.7 million kwacha. So far we have received 8.5 million, and we have expenditure is at 7.8 million. This is for the number of grants aided institutions, and also to provide services to persons living with disabilities. All 5 grant-aided institutions received funds at 100%, so we are on target for this. Juvenile welfare and probation services, the budget is for 25.1 million. So far we have received 6.2 million, and expenditure is 534,000. This is disbursement of funds to approved and reformatory schools. For these all three grant-aided institutions received funds at 100%. We are on target. For welfare and counseling services, budgeted amount is 9.8 million kwacha. We have received 3.1 million kwacha. We have not yet spent anything. The number of this is to support districts with grants for welfare and counseling. This program has been decentralized, and as such, the funds that were received were reallocated to the local authorities. So the funds were reallocated to the councils. For the social cash transfer, the budgeted amount is 8.2 billion. Out of this, we have received 2.2 billion kwacha, and we have spent the 2.2 billion kwacha. We are on target under the social cash transfer for the first quarter, and this is due to the timely release of funds. Under the Public Welfare Assistance Scheme, what is budgeted is 7.2 million kwacha. These funds that are intended for poor and vulnerable individuals or households who are experiencing acute distress or shocks. This activity has now been decentralized, and the funds for the grant in all the 116 districts will be channeled through the local authorities. The care of older persons, the budgeted amount is 11.9 million kwacha. This is intended to support old people's homes with grants to provide care to older persons. We actually have 10 homes that are supported under this grant. This program has also been decentralized, so the funds will be channeled through the local authorities. Under child development, the budgeted amount is 30.9 million. What has been received this far is 5.4 million. What we have spent this far, the expenditure is 3.7 million. This is for the rehabilitation and reintegration of children living on the streets. For the first quarter, the budget was for 325 children. We actually achieved 433 children rehabilitated or reintegrated, so we're above target. Under child welfare, the budget is 25.1 million. What has been released is 3.8 million. Expenditure is 2.1 million. This funds intended for the inspection of child care facilities. We actually targeted to inspect 45 child care facilities in the first quarter. We only inspected 21, and so we're at 46.7%. This is due to the late release of funds in the first quarter. So we did not complete the inspections, And that is the submission. I submit.
Thank you very much, PS, for that. Honorable members, any questions? Honorable Mumba. Any other indications? Okay. So Honorable Mabumba, Honorable Mulebwa, Honorable Simushi. Then we'll go to the next. Honorable Mabumba. Honorable Mumba, I think he's...
Thank you, Chair. PS, on this attachment on the social cash transfer, well, you've reported that the absorption rate was at 100% in terms of the social cash transfer, spend. But my view, I would take it maybe away from the expenditure side, is in terms of the people that are receiving the social cash transfer. You see, every day that I have held public meetings in my constituents, one of the key issues is beneficiary identification. And even the participation of our traditional leaders in the identification process, which seems not to be there. So how are you reconciling? Because you may spend 100%, but if the money, I'm not saying obvious all of it, but there's some portion of the money that may be going to wrong beneficiary, and therefore this budget may not be reaching the intended purpose. So what assurance would you give to the Zambian people that are watching there? And many of those may wish to be on the social cash transfer, but they are not there because of this same process. So what assurance would you give them? The second, Chair, is a small one. When you look at the public welfare assistance and the other one, care of other persons, you've indicated in your reports funds have not been released because the grants for 116 districts will be channeled through the local authority. In terms of public accountability at PS level, will it be yourself or PS, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development going forward? Because the funds are sitting under your ministry, but you are saying they'll be channeled to the local authority, if I have gotten you right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mulebwa.
The privilege is mine, Honorable Chair, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask you. I think mine is more or less a rider to what Honorable Mabumba has presented to the PS. I'm looking at the procurement of agriculture inputs for, right, you have 244,000. How did you come up with this figure? How was the identification of these farmers done? Because like Honorable Mabumba has put it, most of these things, when we go back to our constituencies, the people in our communities keep asking us about this. Don't you think that it's a high time your ministry worked hand in hand with the area members of parliament? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Simushi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thank you, PS, for your presentation. The first question I have is on food security pack. This program, I think, is good, well intended, but I've always had a problem, a recurring problem every year in Congo when it comes to the transportation of the inputs. And the problem is the rate that is given is problematic in the sense that the transporters say that rate is too low. And it's like you have got a one size fits all. Now, for Congo, the terrain is very, very bad, such that if you are comparing the other areas where vehicles are able to move easily, don't need four-wheel drive, maybe the rates that you give, the transporters have no problem with them. But for Congo, it's not like that. So I don't know whether the staff in Congo have presented this issue to you to say, can we adjust the rate so that the inputs can reach the farmers in time? Because what normally happens then, you have to engage scotch carts, the people to come and collect on their own, and they make a lot of noise when that happens. So I think it's something that I want to find out. Why is it that you have got one size fits all in terms of the transportation cost? Why don't you look at the different scenarios that are there in the country? And then the last one is Congo was part of Kalabo district initially, and then it became a district on its own. But up to now, the way you demarcate the whether it's blocks or what, there's a term that is used. We still have just one for Congo. So it's presenting a big problem in terms of how the officers are able to work, because then you find that the number of officers are very few. Maybe just one person now has to attend to all the community in terms of catchment areas. I had presented this issue to the minister way back, and I was assured that it was going to be addressed. But up to now, nothing has happened. So I just wanted to find out how far have we gone with the realignment of the community blocks in Congo. Thank you.
I'm told the Honorable Simunji has a similar question. Do you want to pass it? Or?
Yes, please. Chair, thank you very much. Yes, I know the main objective of the food security pack is to ensure that the communities are food secure. However, the inputs are not well timed. You find inputs in late December, January, hoping these people are supposed to use those inputs so that they can cultivate and get food in the new year. So if someone is it's supposed to plant in November or December, is receiving the inputs in January or even February, is our planning right? May I have the comment?
Thank you. PS, you can respond to those.
Okay, on beneficiary identification, Honorable Mavumba, we actually do involve the communities. We have, what's this, CWACs, those are the Community Welfare Assistance Committees who are part of the selection. And then there's also a community validation under which everyone in that community actually gets an opportunity to participate and to actually confirm that, yes, the people who have been identified as beneficiaries actually fit the profile. Unfortunately, we all know that we do have a very serious problem with dishonesty in our country, and that is something that cannot be policed by the ministry alone. That is actually for the whole community to take an interest in what is going on. On the participation of the traditional leaders, I think that would be something that can actually be maybe looked at, but as the program guidelines sit at the moment, there is no provision for the participation of the traditional leaders in it. On the Public Welfare Assistance Scheme program and the care of older persons, yes, currently the budget line is sitting with the ministry, but it has not been funded under our ministry. What we actually are expecting is that these funds will then go directly to the local authorities as part of decentralization. When that realignment is done, then the responsibility at PS level is going to sit with the Ministry of Local Government, who supervise the local authorities. Honorable Mulebwa, the 244,000 farmers, we actually look at people who are vulnerable but viable, and that is the provision that they actually do have a piece of land that they are able to cultivate. And then the other thing with the food security pack, you only remain on the program for 2 years. And what happens is that you then pay back to the community, not to the ministry, to the community. And what actually has been happening in a lot of communities is that the community then decide what assets they want to buy for themselves at the end of that year. And we have actually had recorded some very good successes in this area. There are some communities that have bought themselves tractors, some have bought themselves hammer mills, Some of them have bought themselves livestock. So for this one, I don't know what, when you say that for us to involve MPs, we actually do not have any provision under the program guidelines where we involve like MPs. It's actually our officers who are then working with the communities. But where MPs have taken an interest, they have actually worked with the communities and have participated in in the handover of whatever assets the communities have decided to buy. Honorable Shimushi, for Congo, the rate for transporters. I think we have discussed this from last year, and the acting director community development is here, and we are well aware of the challenge. And yes, I think we are guilty of using the same rate for transporters across the country, but it has also been brought to our attention that it is not viable because the terrain in the Western Province is very different from the rest of the country. We have looked at it in the past where we even engaged ZNS to make deliveries on our behalf, but it is not something that we have resolved, and it is not something that is cast in stone. I'm sure the director, community development, will be able to look at it. On the staffing levels in Sikongo, I know that you have been to my office, but this was not brought to my attention then. So this is a new submission, and we will commit to looking at it as a ministry to see if there will be need to move staff into there. Honorable Simunji, for that our FSP inputs are not well timed. I think in the previous year with the drought, we actually had a challenge with seeds. And it was not just a problem that was in Zambia, it was actually a regional problem. We actually did have a situation where there was not enough seed in the country. And I think because of that, we did have a challenge with seed. It was, these were extraordinary circumstances for the previous farming season, and we do not expect to have that going forward. And I think acting director has taken note of that. We are going to be on top of things. I submit.
Thank you. We have follow-up questions from Honorable Mulebu and Honorable Mabumba. Honorable Mulebu.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. PS, you've just alluded to the fact that we have a lot of dishonesty going on, and I agree on that bit, and this is why I was asking why as MPs were not involved in it, because particularly in my community, I've received numerous reports of misdeeds by your officers, and it has been very difficult to help my community because of this elusiveness of your officers. People have cried foul a number of occasions, and I'm really, in my thinking, I thought it would have been an ideal thing if you don't have this in your policy to involve. And this is why I ask, why can't MPs be involved in this? Because at the end of the day, we are playing from the same team. Our objective and goals is to ensure that the needs of the vulnerables in our communities are met, which we encounter almost every time. But for whatever reasons, as Honorable Mavumba put it earlier, these benefits don't seem to reach the intended people, and this is where we're trying to understand why as MPs can't be involved so that we help your ministry and work alongside with you.
Thank you. Honorable Mavumba.
Honorable Chair, just to buttress what Jeff has said, PS, For me, I've been in this game now for quite a longer period now. I can call myself that way. You know, the members of parliament and the traditional leaders, in terms of the operational guidelines, you should look at them as a layer to help the ministry provide checks and balances on your CWAC teams, because they are the ones, in many cases, who are wrongdoers. The purpose of the policy on social cash transfer, whether it is this, just you are referring to what the farmer, the other one which have got problems with, the food security pack, is well intended, but it's the identification process. I hold a meeting and I ask my headmen, are you aware about this? They will say, no. These people, even when they are writing, they have never come to our palaces or to our, you know. So, PS, members of parliament will help to provide the layer of checks and balances on what your officers are doing and what the SWAT teams are doing. So, as you go back, please relate to our minister. At the most appropriate time, we'll tell her. I think it would be important that you review. Those guidelines were made by yourselves, and it would be important that you review them. Members of parliament is the center of everything in a constituency. So it is my pre-chair. The other one, Chair, which I want to ask as a substantive question is the emergency social cash transfer is coming to an end, isn't it? Am I right or wrong? So if it is, we hope you can help us to communicate, because again, the members of parliament will be the ones who will be at the center of answering questions from those vulnerable groupings who say, oh, why? So I hope your officers in the respective districts, if at all, whatever decision will be made, they need to convey that information to our people. So that even we as members of parliament, when we go, we don't have that burden to explain hard and hard. You know what it is? Somebody was receiving something, and then at the end of the day, they are told, you know what, this is coming to an end. So my plea again, Chair, to the PS, is that the issue of stakeholder engagement would be very paramount if that is the position. Thank you.
Thank you. PS, would we want to respond to those?
On the Honorable Mulewat, on misdeeds by government officers, please, when you have those reports, hand them over. You can hand them over to the ministry, maybe at headquarters, if you feel that the misdeeds are at the district level or the province level, or you can even hand them over to the law enforcement agencies. We actually have a zero tolerance for that as a ministry. On proposals that we make amendments to program guidelines, I think those we have heard, and the Director of Planning is here. We are going to consider the merits and the demerits of that. And I'm sure you'll be able to get feedback on what is going to be the way forward on that. On the emergency cash transfer, when that program began, it was an emergency, and it was for 12 months. And even when we were actually enumerating, everyone, including yourselves, honorable members of parliament, were aware of that. You are also fully aware that that was actually a grant to the country from the World Bank and other cooperating partners that went to pay that. And you are also aware that the period, the last payment was actually the March-April for that. It has ended. We actually had a closing event which was held in Chilanga and was overseen by our minister, where she actually addressed the beneficiaries, and the communication has been rolled out to the districts. The acting director of social welfare is also here, and maybe what we need to do is just increase on the communication, but there is a lot of work that is also needs to be done around that, because we are also fully aware as a ministry that after we enumerated, we actually did have people who, even with the emergency coming to an end, they are still in need. They are still in at some level of distress. And these are measures that we are going to be working around to see what we can do. because we do have some flexibility where in the 8th National Development Plan, we are going to, under the 8th National Development Plan, we have a target which would actually mean that we do enroll some people. But it's as usual, we still have the same position that social protection is not universal. That's where we say that everybody who needs it is able to get it. We still, unfortunately, have to get the most vulnerable. So you do a vulnerability assessment. So yes, I think Director of Social Welfare has taken note. There will be need to improve on our communications, and then of course even the support from yourselves as honorable ministers, because we are fully aware that beneficiaries are sometimes more comfortable discussing with their MP than discussing with us, and they would be able to get the message from you. And I'm sure the honorable MPs who were the ones who actually approved the supplementary budget that made it possible for the ministry to effect those emergency payments are going to have full information and be able to communicate with the people. This is the situation. This is what has come to an end. Submit.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Mumba.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you very much, Madam PS and your team, for your responses. For me, it might be considered as a question or a comment. Madam PS, I've been Member of Parliament for 9 years now. And I can tell you that up to now, I don't know the beneficiaries of social cash transfer, or indeed any social safety nets that you're providing in my constituency. I will not speak for the MPs, I will speak for myself. And the reason is, and I know very well that you are aware, at one point I did engage you, and of course I did not get the appropriate support I was looking for. And that's why my earlier comment in my opening remarks during my introduction. So, as you leave this committee, you are aware that one of the major challenges that we have in this country is how we deal with the vulnerable people. And those vulnerable people, the people that are at the center of representing them is us, the members of Parliament. I would like to find out from you, one of the biggest problems I've discovered is that your zoning is totally different from the way Electoral Commission of Zambia has been able to, first of all, isolate a constituency and then provide the wards in that constituency. I have cases where a person in Kantash constituency stays in a ward like Mainasoko, but when it comes to getting paid, it's being paid in the next constituency, Mufria Central. So, when they are not paid, they run to my office. We have not been paid, there is a fraud, all sorts of things which I have no control over, I have no knowledge over. So, when are you going to actually carry out reforms that are really, really going to make sure that you optimize the usage of these resources and also optimize the selection? Because it's becoming so difficult for a member of Parliament to know. Even when you have excess money, you say you want to assist a vulnerable group. You don't even know which vulnerable group to assist. So could you please assure us that you're going to go back and relook at this zoning? It's totally different from the way the Electoral Commission has divided the constituents. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. PS, let's go to your, take note of his question and comment. To your, the summary of the budget performance for the first quarter of 2025. Under the food security pack, the first page, though they are not numbered. PS, your budget allocation is about 1.2 billion. And what was it released is 419 million. Okay. Expenditure 389 million. Under your explanation, You have indicated that the implementation of this food security pack for 2025 has not yet commenced because it is supposed to commence on in the third quarter, isn't it? However, I'm interested on the last part where you are saying, however, expenditure has been made on funds for 2025 to settle outstanding expenditures from 2024. Two questions out of that. In terms of under this food security pack, where you allocated any funds for the first quarter specifically for 2025 activities, number one. Then number two, you have used the 2025 funding for 2024 activities. In terms of budget credibility, what would you comment about that? That is number one. Okay. Then when you go to the second part, under the second page, juvenile welfare and the probation services, your budget 25 million, you are given 6.2 million, isn't it? And out of that 6.2 million, which was released in the first quarter, you only utilized, the expenditure was 534,427 kwacha. Okay. Under your comment, there's on target because all the 3 grant-aided institutions received funds 100%. In terms of your budget, okay, 6.2 million is released. Out of that, you have only used 8.5% of that, and we have met the target. Was it an issue of our budgeting, where out of the 6.1, only 8.5% has covered all your activities, and you have indicated there you are on target. I've seen some of those similar kind of situations where you are on target. You are given funds, you have just used a bit of funding, but you have met your targets. So is this an issue of budgeting or what? Maybe you can respond to those, PS.
Acting Director Social Welfare will respond to the one on juvenile welfare and probation services, and Director Planning will refer to the one on the food security pack.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yeah, I've looked at the figures, yes, that the budget was 25 million, and what was released was 6.2 million, while expenditure stood at 534. I think we will need to relook at the figures because the truth is that all these 3 grant-aided institutions, Nakambara, Katombora, and Insakwe, they did receive their grants for the 3 months. But when I look at this figure, I think over on expenditure, there could be something, yes, that could be missing here, because they were fully funded, that is January, February, March, for the full quarter. So we need to relook, I think, at the figures. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chair. On the food security pack, when we look at those figures, probably I need to also put a preface before I look at the figures. After the declaration of the drought emergency, even under the food security pack, there was the food emergency, there was a food security emergency which we did, and we increased, I think, by about 300 beneficiaries, 300,000 beneficiaries, which we increased. So as a result, there was, in terms of the payments for those who we had engaged for the drought, there was a time lag for their payments. So therefore, at the time when it came to 2024, after the 2024 financial year, some of them were not yet paid, but had to be paid in 2025 financial year. So that's why in that, for the food security pack, you would see to say that the payments were made in 2025, first quarter of 2025. That's the time when we are meting out the payments, particularly for those who were put on emergency food security pack. And as he has probably said, the Director of Social Welfare, what it is that sometimes the budget, when they are releasing the resources, they might not release the exact, like when you are profiling for the quota, they might release sometimes more than that for that particular quota, which you can even utilize in the following quarter. So the funds which were released in the first quarter were quite substantial, especially when you look at the juvenile. So the expenditures, we are looking at the grants. These are grant-aided institutions, so the grants have to be paid, and once you pay the grants, then again when it is due for the next grants, again you pay for those particular grants. But sometimes you find to say that the money which actually was budgeted for, because the allocation is a block figure, and in terms of releases, sometimes it doesn't come on time, sometimes it comes all the money even in excess. Like for instance, in the first quarter, in most times, most of the ministries face some difficulties, especially for January funding. January funding is not really on time. Sometimes it comes in February, or sometimes it comes even in March, because of the flow of resources from Ministry of Finance. I thank you.
Okay, maybe let me ask it, my question also, this way, I just want to get more. Under CDF, for example, Ministry of Local Government, it is very clear for the members of Parliament, like for 2024, the budget was 4.8 billion, isn't it? Out of 4.8 billion, only 2.2 billion was released. But we are aware that there's an assurance to say all those, the CDF funding, even if it was not, it will be paid for under 2025, isn't it? So we know that one is rolling, meaning there's a provision for that. But what I wanted to find out, like, and I'm asking this because of your statement where you were saying you have used the first quarter 2025 funding to meet the obligation for 2024 funding. So in terms of your expectation, we close 2024 in December, isn't it? Is your ministry still expecting to receive over and above your profiles for 2025 in terms of the budget for 2025? Is your ministry still expecting to receive funding under 2024 to be rolled over into 2025? And that's why I asked, if that's not the case, then how would you describe your budget credibility for 2025? I don't know whether it's clear.
Yeah, no, it is very clear. Normally in the government, what happens is that as the year comes to an end, then whatever resources which you have, if you still have the resources, they are recorded.
Yes.
They go into X accounts. But for this one, as I had mentioned earlier on, to say that for 2024, we went into the emergency food security pack, of which it was not budgeted for 2024. So what transpired was we had to engage these people in order for them to grow food during the dry season.
What do you mean it was not budgeted? Because this committee is set to do
a
supplementary budget where we gave you more funds under community development to pay for those emergency funding, social cash for emergency, all those, and the Ministry of Water and Development for their water.
Probably, sorry about that. What it is that initially it was not budgeted for. But after the reallocation of the budgets, then this money was going to be covered under the food security pack, which was the budget which we had. So now what is going to happen is that the 300,000 farmers which were assisted, therefore in terms of going forward for the 2025, we might not, at the time when we are coming up with the numbers now, those who are going to be enlisted, we might not enlist the envisaged number of 244. We might reduce the number in order to accommodate what actually was spent on those people who we had contracted to do the food security pack. So it was an emergency, and we had to meet the emergency, and for those who were not paid during that particular year, we still have to pay them.
Okay. Oh, PS, can you respond? Do you want to comment on Honorable Mumba's questions or comments?
Yes, I can comment on Honorable Mumba's beneficiaries of social cash transfer and FSP.
PS, sorry, maybe before you come in, there's an indication from Honorable Simonji.
Chair, thank you very much.
Sorry about that, PS.
I'm getting troubled with the answer over the security pack. Since those 300 plus beneficiaries were brought on board, did you request Minister of Finance to give you extra funding for those in the 2024 budget, or you didn't do that?
Okay, you can respond to that, then we'll allow the PS. I hope we, yeah.
We had to request for that, but of course in terms of the competing needs of the resources, we could not get the whole amount which was required. So as a result, what happened was that the time when we had to pay in terms of the beneficiaries, what the amount which we had to pay for the beneficiaries, we could not pay them in 2024 because at that particular point in time, some of them were still delivering. And then, now when it came to they were contracted in 2024, but the payments were made in 2025.
Okay. Thank you. PS?
The beneficiaries of social cash transfer and food security pack, just to let the committee know here that those beneficiary lists are actually available at our district offices. And if there's, I think last year when we did have an engagement with the members of parliament, one of the things that we did share was information, even with the, with the National Assembly of beneficiaries. If there's any member of parliament who feels that they would like to see their full beneficiary list, please contact your district office and they'll be able to share that information with you. Or if you are in Lusaka, please feel free to get that information from the headquarters. We would be more than happy to share a soft copy. With the FSP, I think this is going to be the first year that we have fully digitized the database, because what has been going on over the years is that it has actually been, kind of, well, it has been a hard copy where you actually have beneficiary lists that are generated in the districts. We have recognized it as one of the weaknesses that we had in beneficiary management, and we are now also able to give a centralized list which is available from headquarters. And please, as members of parliament, please do take an interest in what is going on. I know that what we have at the moment are new CWA committees that came in the end of November. And we trust that all of you took an interest in what was going on in your constituency with the elections, because those are some of the structures that we work with up to the sub-district level. and we are very happy to work with you in them, because sometimes you are able to get the information quicker than us when something is going wrong.
Thank you, honorable members. We'll have to end here with the PS. Thank you for coming once again. Just to rebut what the members have said, Honorable Mure was very passionate. We heard him saying we want to be involved, not the involving of the to be involved in terms of real day-to-day running. But I'm happy also that PS have indicated that we still have these challenges in the ministries. As the representatives of the people, like what Honorable Mavumba has said, immediately you go in the constituency. And you know, our people take these, you people are insulated. They don't see the Ministry of Community Development. What they see is the Member of Parliament, the Councillor. Because how do you explain you find someone who is 65 years at this house is receiving, say, social cash transfer. Next door, there's an old man who is 95 years old, not receiving. You are using you're the same people. Here's the lame person, is not receiving money. And you know there are very few, sorry to use disabled. Very few people. He's not receiving. But so these are the challenges we face every day. And when that happens, you people are insulated. They just think this is the Member of Parliament doing. They will just ask, why am I not receiving? And we had pains covering you, or maybe explaining how you would give someone who is 95 years not receiving, someone who is 60 is getting social cash transfer. This one next door, just next door, selected by your people. So that's why you find members at that level now. They don't really want to interfere. It's because of the pressure that which we are getting from the people we represent. So maybe you needed to take that, and there's proposed, even when it comes to issues of elections, as you said, elections of those. Maybe I wish it was good. The moment you go in, you want to be part of the process of just maybe giving guidelines. Issues will come, isn't it? Why is the Member of Parliament want to be involved in something which is not part of? So some of the people will just watch, this one has been elected, this one has been elected. Even when we have concerns, we can only maybe go to the community social welfare. You know? So it's that. But as we say, we are partners in this. We need to, because at the end of the day, what we want is the best for our people out there. That's why we are commenting like that. Okay, so Chapter 12 of the laws of Zambia in terms of the immunity, that which was given to you, PS NDA. Do have a good day. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members of the committee.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much. That was the Planning and Budgeting Committee, which is considering the budget performance review of the year 2024 financial year and first quarter of 2025. So the committee had two witnesses today. The first witness was the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, as well as the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. So we'd like to urge you to keep it locked right here on Parliament TV. We do expect the same committee to continue receiving submissions from various witnesses tomorrow. Remember, the committee is Planning and Budgeting Committee. Good morning.